So we need to wait 1 second. Can you hold 1 second? So we can use the queue using the array, or we can use the queue using the data structure or linked list. Sorry, linked list. So either of them you can use to do the queue part. Now today, first problem which we will see is, I'll put 01.js. So we'll write down the first problem. So what is the purpose of this problem? So the purpose of this problem is that we have the two queue. So we have two queue, and we have to write the combination function called as weave. So what the weave will do, it will take element from both the queues and process it. So how it will take, I will describe it here. So it will take one element from first queue and put it in the third queue, and then it will take another element from second queue and put it in third queue. So if the first queue has let's say male 1 and male 2, and in the second queue it is female 1 and female 2. So the result queue, the third queue, will be combination of this and this. So it will be male 1, female 1, male 2, female 2, like this. So this is equal number of elements, so it will result like this one. But let's say we have, for example, 3 males, male 3, but we have only 2 females, so it will work like this: male 1, female 1, male 2, female 2, and male 3. Okay, so it will take all the elements from this one, but this has 2, so it will fit like this one. Okay, so if it has male 4 also, then male 4 will also add in the end. So first it will take from here, 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 and then it will add all the elements in the end. So that is the purpose of this exercise. So I will start writing. You need to help me in doing the problem, doing this problem. So first we will create the queue function. Then we will create two queues, put some element in the queue, and then we'll write a function weave, which will take these two queue and create a third queue, which will be the combination of both the queue. That is the idea. So the first function which I will write down is called the node function, which we already know. So before I write down, I want you to write down the node function, linked list node function for this problem. Okay, so I'll give you 2 minutes. Just write down in the chat and send me. Let me see who remembers the node function of the linked list. Yes, so everybody has written correctly. So I will write down the function node, and it has the two parameters. One is wall and another one is next equal to null. And I will say this dot wall equal to wall, this dot next equal to next. Okay, so this is our node function. Now let's write down the queue function, because we will be using queue. I could have used array, but I will use the linked list. I'll start with queue, and first thing is I will say head equal to null, and I will create three functions. One is called the add, where I will add elements in the queue. Then I'll write down the remove, where I will remove the element from the queue. And next is pick, where I will pick the element which is about to remove. Queue means first in, first out. So the person who will come first will go first. That is what queue means. So let's try to use the add function, and I will pass some value which I will put in the add function. So I will check if, okay, first I'll create one node. Maybe I'll say new node is equal to new node wall. So I create a new node because anyhow I have to add this. So this line will be there irrespective of head is there or no. So if head is not there, then I'll say this dot head equal to new node. So we will put this new node in the head, and we will return it. So maybe we can return the value also. What I added is here, though it is not required to return the value, but just for the namesake I am returning the value. Okay, now if head is already there, that means I need to put this value in the end. So we will be putting in the end, and we will remove from the beginning. That is how we will be doing it. So if we want to use the picture notation, this is head. I will add element here, male 1. Then another one will come, I will add it here, male 2. Another one I will add it here, male 3. So this is the first person to enter, second, third. These are three standing in the queue. When I want to remove it, I should remove the first person who enters in the queue. So I will remove from the beginning. Okay. And once this is removed, I will remove this and then remove this. So it is like a queue. So if we have already some element, then we have to go till the end and then add the new node in the end. So how to go to the end? We will start with temporary variable called as current. It will point to head. Then I will loop through this current. If we have current dot next, that means we have some element. So we will change the current equal to current dot next. So when we reach to the last, current will be some male 1 or male 2 or male 3 with next pointing to null. So this will become null, and that means current is at the last level. So when current is at the last level, I'll say current dot next equal to new node, the one which we have here. We already did last time. I'm just adding it, a revision for you. And then we can also return here also. We can return the value which we have, this one, same. Can return it. Okay, it's returning the same value. That's why it is giving me this one. So instead of value, I can also say new node dot wall. Okay, just for the namesake. Or we will not return anything. Forget about it. Okay, that may, because we are, since adding it, we know what we are adding it, that will be returned. So no need to return anything. It's a void function. So everybody has this in the notes of the previous class, so you don't need to write it down again. Just I went through it again so that you get a revision of what we did. When we want to remove it, we will check if there is no head. I will return null. That means we are not returning anything. But if we have head, then we have to remove the first element of the head. So to remove the first element, we will create first temporary variable current equal to this dot head. So current is pointing to this dot head, and now I will change the next property of head to the next element. So I will say this dot head is equal to this dot head dot next. So we remove the first element and we are pointing head to the next element. And in the end, I will return the current dot wall. In the peak, we will go through this step, but we will not point this to the next element. So just we'll say this line will be same. If head is not there, we return null. But if head is there, we will return this dot head dot wall. We'll just say what is the value inside the head, which we are going to remove it. Peak means which element will come out. That's what it says. So this is my Q function and this is my node function. First I will test if Q is working fine. So to test Q is working fine, I will create one variable var Q1 equal to new Q. Then I'll say Q1 dot add mail1, Q1 dot add mail2. So there are two mails, or we will add four mails, Q3 and Q4. And we'll see what is Q now. Okay, so Q is having the first element mail1, then mail2, then mail3, and then mail4. That means if I will remove it, mail1 will come out first, mail2 will come out second, mail3 will come out third, and mail4 will come out fourth. This is how the Q1 will work. So that means Q is working fine. Let's try to add another Q. This is Q2. Okay, Q2 has female 1 and female 2. Okay, so now we have Q1 and Q2. So let's save this one. So we have two Q now. One is called the Q1 and one is Q2. Q2 is female 1 and then female 2. Q1 is male 1, then male 2, then male 3, and then male 4. Now idea is, now I want to write a third function which will take Q1 and Q2, and from Q1 it will take first element, that is male 1, put it in another Q. Then it will take first element from here, put it in the Q, third Q. Then it will take this male 2 and then this female 2, then male 3, and since female is gone, so male 3 and male 4. So that is how we have to do. Now since this was done last time, I'm not putting more attention on it, but let's talk about the third function which I will write down now. Now here we will think what is the logic we should put. So V1, the function name is weave. Weave means combining both the Q. So it is expecting source 1 and source 2. Source 1 is nothing but the Q1 and source 2 is nothing but the Q2. Now here we have to create third Q, Q3, which is nothing but the new Q, and we have to return this Q3. Okay, so now Q3 should have element as I told you, male 1, male 2, male 1, female 1, male 2, female 2, male 3 and male 4. Now what should I write? How should I go through about this 2 so that I should take both the things and add it in the Q3? So what should I start with? Can anyone tell me? This is the source 1, which is Q1. Source 2 is Q2. Now, how will I take the first element from here, then take first element from here, then take this element from here? So what should I write here? Only tell me one line. Okay, when I create this new Q, it has Q3, has already the head. We don't need to write down the head again. When I say Q3 is new Q, it is this Q, which has all the properties of this Q. So we don't need to write down add, remove again. Q1 dot head. So generally this head property is hidden because some people can use the array also. So we don't have to talk about the head. So I will not even think of head property in this function. So if you say current equal to new head, it does not make any sense because we don't know how Q is written. Though I have written this, but some people might have written Q in the array format, so they don't have head. So, and head is generally I made this public, but most of the places this is the hidden property. You don't see it, you cannot access it outside. So you have to go through this list and go to this list. If you want to go through the list or array or object, what you use generally? Loop. We use loop, but loop is good if we have the array. We know for loop is good if we have the array. Here whether you will use for loop or while loop. While loop, correct. While loop is right answer because we don't know the particular index. Now, what will be the condition I should put so that it I can go through all this list and all this list, then only I should come out of the while loop. And this one is source 1 and this one is source 2 because I will call this v function by passing q1 and q2. So q1 is going as a source 1, q2 is going as a source 2. What should I write in the while loop? So now we can the discourse. So generally, if you pass, okay, we don't have Q1 here. We have source 1. So don't talk about Q1. Though I'm passing it here as Q1, but internally it's going as a source 1. So if you write source 1 and source 2, it will be always true, because source 1 and source 2 are nothing but the object. So source 1 and source 2 will be always there, and you will never come out of this while loop. So this one will not work. Okay, let's talk about another solution. Which one? Someone. Okay, source 1 does not have any current property. Okay, so there is no property in the source 1. We have head property, we have add, we have remove, we have peak. We don't have any other current property of the source 1 or source 2. So source 1 dot current will not work. Since this is not array, so you will not get length. Length only comes in case of array, but if you are using linked list, and so length is not there. Okay, so there is also no property next in the queue. So I told you only you can use head, you can use add, you can use remove, or you can use peak. In addition to this, there is no property which you can use. And head is also, though it's there, but it is generally private. So either you can use add, remove, and peak. No need to even use the head, because head will be private. It will not be visible. Though I made it public, but in most of the cases, it's not available. So we should not use this. So generally, we will be using source 1 something, and we will also be using source 2 something. Whether I will use and sign or I will use or sign. What do you think? Whether and sign is right or sign is right? If I use and sign, then if I take male 1 and male 2, female 1 and female 2, after that we have only male, we don't have female. So if we use and, it will only end till these two elements. We will not be able to go to male 3 and male 4. So and will not work. So we need to use or. Now, right. So what is the purpose? What is the purpose? Purpose is we will be taking this element and putting in Q3, and taking means we will be removing this element from the Q1 and putting in Q3. Then we will remove this, putting in the Q3. Then I will take this, remove this from here, put it in Q3. Then I will remove this, put it in Q3. And since we don't have anything in Q2 now, we will add these two by removing from here and putting in the Q3. Since we have to remove it, so when we want to check it, we will check using the peak one, because peak one is the only one which can tell me whether there is some element in the queue or not. So we need to use the peak function. We can use either add or remove or peak. We cannot use add to check. We cannot use remove to check. Only the peak is the one which we can use to check. So we will see whether source1.peak, that means something is there. If nothing is there, we will get null. So we will say source1.peak is there or source2.peak is there. Then we will write down some logic, which I will write it down here. But while condition is this one. Now what we have to do, we have to take this element. So we have to check if we have element in the Q1, that is source 1. If we have element in the source 1, we will remove this element and put it in Q3. So how will I check? To check, we have to use if condition. So what will be the if condition to check if something is there in this Q1? What should I write in this if condition so that I know something is present in the Q1? First I have to check if something is there in the Q1, that is the source 1. Source 1 will always be there, so I cannot check not Q1 or not source 1. Source 1 will be there because it's an object. Okay, source 1 is the object. It will be always true. So I cannot say not source 1. It will not work. I cannot say wall also. I told you only I can use only 3 properties of the queue. Add, remove, peak. How will I use wall? I don't have any property of wall inside the source 1. Yes, so we have to use same peak here again. So I'll say if source 1 dot peak, that means if something is there in the source 1, then do something. What something? I will tell you in a minute. After we check the source 1, we have to do same thing for the source 2. If source 2 dot peak is there, then do something. Now something is means we have to take this element out, put it in Q3. So how will I take the element out from the Q1? How will I remove element from the Q1? Source 1 dot remove. So I'll say source 1 dot remove. If I say source 1 dot remove, whatever we do the peak, it will be removed. And I have to insert it into the Q3. So to insert into the Q3, which function I will use? Remove will give me some value. Remove will give me some value. This one, current dot wall. So we have to put in the not in the source 1, because source 1 we have to remove from the source 1. We have to put in the Q3. The source 1 dot add is not right. How will you add in the Q3? Someone is saying source 1 dot add. We don't want to add here so in the source 1. We have to add only in the Q3. Right. Q3 dot add is equal to source1 dot remove. Correct. Shweta is also correct. Kate is also correct. So we have to say Q3 dot add, and inside we have to take this value. Okay. So what we are doing, we are removing from the source 1, putting in the Q3. Same thing we have to do it here. We have to write down Q3 dot add, source 2 dot remove. So we will remove from the source 2, put it in the Q3. So first what we'll do, we'll take male 1, put in Q3. Then we'll take female 1, put in Q3. Then we'll take male 2, put in Q3. Then we'll take female 2, put in Q3. Then we will take male 3, put it in Q3. We don't have more Q2. That means this will not go further, but we will be adding it here. So we'll take male 4, put it in the Q3. And then this will also become empty. And then it will come out of the while loop and we will return the Q3. So let's try to see what we are getting in the final weave. Let's run this. So this is the result. It will have male 1 and female 1, then male 2 and female 2, then male 3 and then male 4. So we got the result Q from the Q1 and Q2. So just write down, first write down this V function, and rest are simply you can copy afterwards. First write down this important function, how we do the weave. You have 5 minutes to copy this. Okay, so since this is done, rest of the function I will give you in the Telegram group, and I will also put it here so that you can refer it. I will also give in the Telegram group. And I already gave you in the Telegram group. Okay, 1 second. Let me copy it. So you can also get it from here. Okay, I will give you this URL also if you want to grab it from here. So, okay, so this one was one of the function in problems in the queue. Let's move to another problem. So the next problem is we have two stacks and we have to implement queue out of it. Okay, so that is the idea, because in the queue we have first in, first out. Okay, so that is what you have to implement. So if I put mail 1, mail 2 and mail 3, it will, and if I try to remove it, I should get mail 1, then mail 2, then mail 3. So it should work like first in, first out. But you don't have to use the queue function like we have used this queue function. We have to use the stack function. So if I create a queue function here, inside this queue function, there is nothing like queue. I cannot use this queue. I have to use stack. Use stacks here. So that is what the idea is. So if I write down var q1 q equal to new queue, and then I try to add it, q dot add 1, or I say person 1, q dot add person 2, q dot add person 3. When I try to remove it, this person, since it went first, it should come out first. This should come out second. This should come out third. So inside this queue, you cannot use the queue. You have to use stacks, and that also 2 stacks, and you have to implement this logic. Okay, so that is what we have. So generally, now here I will not use linked list to implement the stack, and not even I will use this stack class. If you see, you can use this anyhow. If you want, you can copy this and you can use this, or you can go to linked list part, copy this stack and use that. That is perfectly fine. But remember, if I want to implement the stack, I can just say array.push to add the record, and to remove it, I can say pop. So push and pop are the implementation of the stack. So I don't need to do any other thing. If I say push, that means I'm trying to add. If I say remove, if I say pop, I'm trying to remove it. And if I want to see which element is there, I can just say array of length -1, then I can directly use it. So for this purpose, I will not really create the stack class, but I know if I use push and pop, it is nothing but the stack. Okay, for simplicity, I will be doing like that one. So now what we have to do? We have to create 2 stacks. So when I want to create 2 stacks, that means I have to create 2 arrays. We will just use array and implement push and pop for the stack. So I need to create 2 arrays. So I will ask questions. Just I will give you the intro, then I will ask question. So maybe I will say constant first equal to a simple array. Constant second is equal to simple array. This is nothing but a stack. Consider this as a stack. A stack means if the last in first out. Stack means last in first out. So if I put person 1, 2 and 3 in the stack, person 3 will come out. Okay, but we need person 1 to come out. That's why we have to create 2 stacks to implement the logic. Now let's try to visualize the things. Okay, how we will be doing it. So we have this as a stack 1 and this as a stack 2. If I add something here in the stack 1, person 1, then person 2, then person 3. So I am adding in the stack 1, person 1, 2, 3. But if I don't use this and if I try to remove from the stack, person 3 will come. But whether I want person 3 or person 1 when I want to remove it. We want person 1 because we want to implement queue. That is why we want to person 1. So I added person 1, person 2 in the stack 1. Now when I want to remove it, that means I want to remove person 1. That is output will be person 1. Okay, but since we have to use a stack, no queue, so we are using this temporary stack to implement our logic. So what I have to do, I have to take this P3 and put it inside second stack. Then this is gone to here. Then I will take this one and put it in the stack P2. Then I will take P1 and put it in the stack this. And then what I will do, I will remove from this second stack. So P1 will be removed. Since P1 will be removed, now P2 and P3 still remains. Okay, and this has become empty because we can put everything inside this bucket. Since we put inside this bucket is empty now. And this bucket has these 2 elements. So what we have to do? We have to take this P2 and put it back inside the S1. Then we have to take P3 and put it back inside the S1. So finally, this bucket will now have P2 and P3. And this bucket will be empty because I removed P1 and then I moved P2 back and P3 back in the S1. Okay, so that is the logic. I will repeat this logic once more time. Give me 1 minute. Okay, let me explain you this one more time. So, one second. Okay, let me explain you again this part. So this is the stack 1 and this is the stack 2. I will create stack 1 again here for explanation purpose. So first I will put all the elements in the stack P1, P2 and P3. Now all the elements are in the stack, but when I want to remove it, I want to remove P1, but we have the P3. So what I will do, I will put P3 inside P S2 and then I will put P2 and then I will put P1. When I do this step, the S1 will become empty like this and S2 will be like this. Now from the S2 I will remove P1 and give it to outside world. Now we have P2 and P3 in the S2. So I will take P2 back to S1. So P2 has gone here and P3 will go inside this one S1 again and this will become empty. So that is how we will remove the element. But when we want to add the element, we'll just put the elements in the S1. So that is the purpose of whole exercise. Let's try to do that in the coding. So we have created two stack, first and the second, and we have to create three functions which will do our job. One is called this dot add, and I will say next is this dot remove, and third function which we need is this dot peek. We should have always these three functions in case of queue and stack. Now when we want to add something, that means we will be only adding in the first stack. So I will say first dot push equal to wall. Okay, so we have to say only this part, first dot push equal to wall. Okay, but when we want to remove it, so what we were doing in the remove case, we were putting all elements in S2 and then removing from the S2. So that is what we have to do here. So before we add inside the S2, we have to check if the element is in the first or not. So to check, I will use while loop. And what should I put inside the while loop? That is something I want to know. We have to check if element is there in the first or not. So what should I say? Okay, right now I'm using the array, so we don't have the peak. If I would have used this stack function, then I would have peak. Now we don't have peak, this simple array. First dot length is greater than 0. Correct. Okay, this is also right. First dot length should be greater than 0. So if first dot length is greater than 0, then I have to put element. I have to take out the element from the first and put it in the second. So how will I take out the element from the first? How will I take out the element from the first? First dot pop. And I have to put that element in the second. How will I put in the second? What should I write here? Second dot what? Second dot push. Correct. So what I'm doing, I'm checking if we have something in the first. If we have something, we will take that out and put it in the second. And we are using while loop so that I can take all the element from the first and put it inside the second. After I'm done with this while loop, there will be no element inside the first array and everything will be in the second. Now I want to remove from the second one and give out to the public. So I will put that in some variable so that I can return it in the end. So let me create a variable constant. I will name it as current and I will remove from the second. To remove from the second, I will use second.pop. Now this is the one which will be removed out. That is the P1. This is the P1. Now, before I return this current, I want to move all this P2 and P3 back in the S1. So to move P2 and P3 back in the S1, we will loop through the second array. So now we will loop through the second array. I will say while second dot length is greater than 0, and I will put it in the first array. I will say first dot push, and inside I will say second dot pop. So now here we were taking from the first, putting in the second. And once we remove from the second, I will take it from the second and put it back in the first, so that when we are done with the remove part, we will be having all elements in the first and not in the second. Second should always be empty. Second is a temporary array or temporary stack which help us in the removal process. Is this part clear? Okay, so now this remove is done. Now let's try to do the peak part. So peak part is something that we don't remove this pop. We will do the same procedure here. The only thing will be, here we will not do pop. We will only just check what element is going to be removed from the second. Okay, so let's copy this. We have to first take every element, put it in the second. So I will copy this part. And I will also copy this part, that I have to take every element from the second and put it in the first. But we don't have to remove this part. So instead of removing, we just need to see what is there in the second. What element is going to be removed from the second. So what should I write here? what should I write here? So that I should only see what element is in the second which is going to be removed. Because peek means we don't have to remove it hard-codedly. We just want to see what element is going to be removed. Anyone? Which element is going to be removed? It is second dot pop. But here we don't have to remove. So we want to see. Yeah, but it's not the first. Kate is correct, but it is not the first. We need to check from the second one, not the first one. First one is only for the insertion purpose. Whenever we want to remove, we have to remove from the second. Whenever we want to check, we have to check from the second. So your answer is correct, only we have to use second. So I will take the second array and I will see what is the last element in the second array. That is second dot length minus 1. So this is the last element in the second which is going to be removed. So I will check in the second array what is the last element. I will put it in the current and I will return the current. Let's try to see if this is working fine. So I will do q dot peek. When I do q dot peek, it should show me person 1. Then I will do q dot remove. When I do q dot remove, it will remove person 1. Then again I will do peek. It will show person 2. Then again I will remove. It will show remove. Person 2 will be removed. If I do peek again, it will show person 3. If I remove, it will remove person 3. If I do peek again, then it will show null. So let's try to see if this is working. Okay, so we have the Q. Q is nothing but, okay, we have the add, peek and remove kind of thing. Now if I see Q dot peek, it is showing person 1. If I do peek dot Q dot remove, it is removing person 1. Then again if I do peek, it's person 2. Remove. Okay, then again if I do peek, nothing will be there. Okay, so let me refresh this one. So in the queue, we will create 2 array, first and the second. Whenever we try to add, it will always go in the first array. It will not touch the second array. Whenever we try to remove it, it will take all the elements from the first array and put it in the second array. And from the second array, we remove the last element and put it in the temporary variable current. Then we take all the elements from the second array and push it back to the first array so that after the function, everything should be in the first array. And we return the current element, that is what we are going to be removed. In the peek, we will take all the elements of the first stack, put it in the second stack. Then we will see what is the element to be removed from the second stack, that is the P1, which we will put in the current variable. And then we'll take every element from the second array, put it back in the first array, and we will return the current one. So in the diagram, we'll see again. Let's see again. So when we want to add it, we will add only the S1. 1, 2, 3. When we want to remove it, if I remove directly 3 and give it to public, it will be 3. But we don't want to give the 3. We want to give 1. Because Q means whoever goes first will come out first. So what we will do, we will take each element of S1 and put it in the S2. Then 2 and then 1. And from S2, we will take this element which is going to be removed and give it to the public. And the remaining, this will be deleted because it will be given to the public. And we have these 2 and this will be empty. Then before we return the function, we have to take this and put it back in the S1. Take this, put it back in the S1. So now we have 2 and 3 only in the S1. This will become empty. and we're returning the 1 here. That is what we are doing in this function. Okay, so this one I will just give you in the Telegram one. You can directly copy it from the Telegram and just practice these two problems, 01 and 02, because these are very important problems for the interview. Let's put it here also. Okay, I will say here, create queue using 2 stacks. Okay, this one we have to do it. Okay, I will give you this one also in the Telegram chat. Okay, that's all for today. Any questions?